In this video, we're going to go over absolute positioning in CSS. Now, as you can see, as we have over here on our screen, we have a div element. You can see over here on our web page, we have a div element, and we gave it a background color of red, a color of white, a padding of 15 pixels, and also a position of absolute. And that is what we are going to be talking about in this video. Position absolute. So I'm going to be explaining how it works and how you need to understand it in CSS. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the position of absolute. So you can see over here we are giving this div a position of absolute, but you can see now if we refresh, it doesn't do anything yet. So what we need to do, there are two more properties we need to use for the position after the position of absolute. Okay, so we say position absolute, and then you come down here. I already have this, let me paste it. So the property you use is top, and the other property you use is left. Okay, now if you want to absolutely position an element on your web page, this is what you do. So we are simply telling the browser absolutely position this element 75 pixels away from the top. So we are telling it absolutely position this element 75 pixels away from the top and 150 pixels separate it away from the left. Okay, so we are simply telling it position of absolute, top 75 pixels, left 150 pixels. So now if we refresh this now, you can see it's now 75 pixels away from the top and 150 pixels away from the left. So that is the position absolute. So we have absolutely positioned these elements over here. Okay, so now you can also switch this. You can change this from left to right. So you can use right. Now if you refresh, so now we have absolutely positioned this element 150 pixels away from the right. Okay, you can see it over here, and we are still separating it 75 pixels away from the top. So that's the absolute positioning in CSS. Okay, now there's also one property I need you to understand in CSS, and that is the float property. Okay, it's a very important topic in CSS. So to float an element, we need to remove the absolute positioning, because when you use an absolute positioning, you are simply telling the browser this is where I want this element to be. This should be the absolute position. So if we use float, so now let's do this. So let's say float. Let's float this to the left. As you can see, it's on the right hand side, so we are floating it to the left. Now if you refresh this, you will see this will not work. So now we have refreshed, but you can see nothing is happening. This is because we have that is the power of this position of absolute. When you state a position of absolute, you are telling the browser this is where I want this element to be. I don't want it to go anywhere else, no matter what. Okay, so we have absolutely positioned this element here, so it won't be able to move even if we float it. Okay, so what we need to do is to remove this position of absolute, and we remove the other properties that comes with it. We remove the position of absolute. We are going to remove the top of 75 pixels and the right of 150 pixels. So if we remove this now if you refresh, now you can see the float property is now working. You can see it's floated to the left hand side of our screen. Okay, now you can see, so since we remove the top and the left, you can see at the top here, you can see the space is removed, so that's why it jumped from here to here. So that is the position absolute property in CSS, and also how to float an element in CSS. So you can float to the left, you can also float to the right. Okay, all right, so that will be it for this video, guys. I will see you guys in the next video.